Just waiting for Jason to get everything.
Okay, we're ready to go. I see somebody else waiting to join, so.
All right. Okay, I am calling the Sunset Empire Transportation District Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, June 27th at 9:03. And we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary, would you do roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Ruth Smith?
Here.
Commissioner McDonald? Commissioner Eno?
Here.
Commissioner Legria? Here. Commissioner Withers?
He's on his way.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Romero is excused.
Yes. Okay. And then number 4 on our agenda is any changes to the agenda? I have none. So we will move on to number 5, which is public comment. This is where the public will have an opportunity to address the board directly. Each person commenting is limited to 3 minutes. Public comments will not be accepted through the Zoom chat room. Please raise your hand and you will be called on during public comment. So Jason, do you have anybody? We'll start with anybody on Zoom.
I do not.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak? One more chance on Zoom.
I do not have anybody.
All right. We will move to number 6, approval of the May 25th board minutes. And let's keep this to things, not typos or spelling errors. We can get those to Mary at another time. But any changes in the minutes?
Do we need to make a motion first?
Yes, please.
So I move to approve the May 25th, 2023 board meeting minutes.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Rebecca, motion by Deanna and second by Rebecca. And Deanna, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So on page 12 of the board meeting packet, which is page 8 of the board meeting minutes. So on the last paragraph, just above the voting box, so it says Commissioner Nino read C2 on page 5 of the employment agreement. And then if the executive director should be charged with a felony or charged with a misdemeanor involving fraud or dishonesty or material breach of any obligation under this agreement, the district may terminate him immediately and severance will not be paid. Commissioner Nino said he has not been charged, but will that be a possibility after the findings of the forensic audit done by ODOT? And the answer is not there.
Oh, you're kidding.
Then it says, Commissioner Nino asked, just because of what you said in the letter, just because of the financial malfeasance, we can void that we don't have to wait until he is charged. And then it said, Commissioner Bushmith said, no answer, according to our attorney. So it would be like said, yes, according to our attorney.
Yes, yes.
So we should just do
Okay.
that, please. Then on the following page, page 13 of the packet, page 9 of the board meeting minutes, on the route item B, Route 101 and Pacific Connector, second paragraph. So in the last part of that paragraph, the Pacific Connector makes 5 trips to Cannon Beach and back on the weekends. Diana asked if we still had the, I believe that's the IGA agreement, the intergovernmental agreement with Cannon Beach for Route 20. And then he said, Kelly said that we have not been doing that route for quite a while, but that wouldn't be Route 20. That would be the Cannon Beach City Loop. Is that what we had the agreement with Cannon Beach for?
21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we should maybe correct or check if it's Route 20 or 21.
What was said?
What was said, correct. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Pamela?
On page 13, number 12, it says there are a lot of correspondence. Should that be attached to the minutes? The correspondence? Do you do that?
The letters.
Oh, the copies of all the letters?
Right.
Yes.
So it will be
Yes,
attached to this.
yes.
And on that one, just all the letters were read by interim executive director Lewinsky. I helped.
Yes,
So
yes,
you,
you did. You have it. Okay,
so you just say, see attached?
yes.
Any comments on the minutes? Okay. Is there other discussion? Mary, would you take a roll call, please?
Commissioner Bushnet,
Yes.
Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Alegria.
Yes.
Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald.
Yes.
Okay.
Moving on to number 7, reports from the chair and commissioners. Let's go ahead and start with Tracy since he's on Zoom.
Yes.
Anything, Tracy?
No, I'm just gonna be challenged to stay with you for the whole meeting, so I'll do as best I can, okay?
Thank you, Tracy. Rebecca?
I have nothing to report.
Pamela? Nothing? Deanna?
Just once more, I wanted to thank the budget committee because everybody was very, very involved and just very happy that so many good opinions and observations were done so that we could come up with a budget. That's it.
Thank you. Charles?
None.
Nothing? So I have a little bit, since last meeting, well, since our last normal general meeting, I did meet with the county manager and had a nice talk with him. Learned that if we had been able to reach out before all of this happened, there might have been groups that could get together and help us. But since it was at such a, now, there was nothing that they really could get together and help with, and he also said he wasn't sure what they could do, but because they have a group that meets with the county manager and the city managers. They might have been able to brainstorm and come up with some help. But they also needed some leeway to that. I did talk to him about, because before Jason came back, we were having trouble making sure we had somebody that could run the Zoom, and I talked to him about that because I had considered asking the county to send us an IT guy. Could we borrow an IT guy? He said he would have been more than happy to send an IT guy down here. Anything they could have done, they would do. So that was really good to hear. He said that Jeff had met with them during some of their meetings, but he never had a lot of input. So I would hope that our next director would continue to meet with the group when possible, but also do some reporting on where we're at, what we're doing. And maybe they could come up with some ideas that could also help us out in the future. I do have an appointment. I'm gonna do the same thing with the city manager of Astoria, since they also did reach out. And I have an appointment with Scott on Thursday of this week. So I'll go up and talk to him. The other thing I wanted to say is the board has been getting some group emails. It's very important that only one person answer those emails. So it was kind of said when all of this was starting that I would be the one that would answer. If you have any input, please let me know, because I usually don't answer them like that. But if we're not careful, it looks like we're having a meeting, especially if a reply goes out and it includes the whole group. And we also don't need 7 different answers going somewhere. So unless somebody else wants to take that over, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to wait a little bit, see if I get any input from anybody. But let's be very, very careful about replying to these group emails we may be getting.
Because if we do communicate more than, it would be considered a quorum if four or more of us actually responded and communicated together.
If you reply all, it's gonna go out to the whole group that email was originally sent to. And
So what you're saying is you would like to have people first address you, for any concerns, you're the clearinghouse, and then you would
If it's something-
defer to Paul if there was a specific on the operations.
And if you have any opinions, I mean, if you have something that you think should be said, let me know, because I can put that in my email, my response back. But we need to be careful that the replies are not going out to all, and that all 7 of us are not replying and giving 7 different answers. I think that's all I had.
Yeah, I just would add that it gives when everybody gets involved in that kind of communication, it gives the appearance that there's no coordination or forethought to what's going on. And we know this is a tighter board than that. So I think if the responsibility lies with the chair as to how to respond with your input, I think that's the best solution.
Can I ask another question? Is that, so for the public to feel comfortable and secure that there is full transparency on all the activities with the district, what would be the best advice for people who did have questions from the public? What is do they go to the website and make a comment there? I mean, what is the process, the best process we can recommend for people?
Sometimes people come directly to staff. They go through the phone tree, or they send correspondence directly to staff members. And if that's the case, we usually take care of the customer at that point. In-house, the same thing applies. If it's sent to multiple people, we try not to have multiple people from staff answer. But we bring those pieces of correspondence to the board so the board's aware. And I think the answer that I give to writers who, have a complaint or want to understand something, I usually end up, whatever I've talked to them about, saying the best way for them to know what's going on and to be involved is to attend the board meetings. And I give them the date, and I encourage them to come in through Zoom now. It's really easy for people. And then they can hear what's going on, and they can voice their opinion as well.
Pamela. Hey, Paula.
It's not about group but I've been receiving like 10 to 15 emails every day. And it's time consuming. I'm worried I'm gonna delete something that's important.
Is yours coming through on your bus email?
Right, it used to come on my personal one, and now I just get 1 or 2 there.
So I suggested to Rebecca that she call Paul, and then maybe Paul could refer her to Jason. I'm not sure, I'm getting all of those on my personal email, not on my bus email, so I don't know, it just sounds really random.
Yeah, I've
What's going
received
on?
them on my through another organization which I serve, and
which is a specific email address. And then also, it's like either a Borg or it's a person that is subscribing me to, and I guess that's a form of spam, and I mean, it's not unheard of, right? Have other people experience that? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're having iFocus, I believe, take a look at it possibly.
I did put in a trouble ticket yesterday. I talked to the technicians there. There's really nothing that they can do for us. Any person can use anybody else's email address when they fill out a form to a vendor or for a subscription, and pretend to be you, you know. And then the response from that action will of course come to you, not to the person doing it. The only way that it can be addressed from a more technical aspect is through the email of the company that the subscription was made with. And there may be some local companies involved that are the catering thing or some of those that we could go to and say, look, we've got this problem. Can you have your IT people look for the IP address that email came to you from?
Okay, that's a good idea. Where we can, otherwise unsubscribing usually handles it.
Mine has really slowed down since I started unsubscribing, right, all of them.
I block it, but it still comes up.
Try unsubscribing. Charles?
Let's be clear that we're talking about emails that come from passengers or clients, because I get SDL correspondence, you're not interested, we're all getting that.
Yeah.
Or I get training stuff and all that. So
What's happening, Charles, is that somebody has taken
yeah,
addresses here and used them to subscribe to many different websites or
And
many
then we
different
all-
services. And then those services are contacting ones of us to, you know, take care of the subscription or the service that's been requested in our name, but it, you know, we didn't initiate it.
but we're talking about the ones you want forwarded to you are the ones that come from, I get none of those. but
And
I-
Yeah, and if you guys do get those, if you get a group email that's to all of us, please don't forward it to me because I've already gotten it.
Yeah.
Illegitimate. Then I just get more. So,
That's it.
Deanna?
So I understand that iFocus or our IT company can't really help us with blocking or whatever. However, if we did get some malware, a virus or something, could they give us support in fixing our devices?
They could give support in fixing district devices. Are you talking about if you get malware through your
Through one of
district
the, like,
email?
if they're subscribing us to stuff and one of those ends up being, you know, malign, I think is the word, then if it gets on our phones or on our personal computers, then that's on us to fix it?
Well, if I'm not mistaken,
Because
if
it
it
came
comes
through.
in on your SETD email,
Yes.
it will have gone through our server,
Ah,
and
okay.
our server filters out much of that
Oh, good,
malicious
okay,
stuff.
that's a relief, thank you.
Okay, all right. Mary, I hate to do this to you. Did we need to approve the draft board meetings for June 20th? We don't need to approve those?
No, sorry.
Okay. All right. Moving on to number 8, our financial reports.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly.
I added a page to the financial reports, it's just kind of a dashboard, so to speak, it's page 38. And it just kind of gives a snapshot of what things look like going forward. So I continued to have everything in there that we had in the past, and continued with the exceptions report at this point. But wanted to give the snapshot of kind of what things look like going forward so that you kind of know what to expect for June, what should kind of look like for June. Also, there is 3 months worth of credit card statements in there because we have been behind on getting those reconciled and into the board tax. So you'll notice that there's a couple of extra months in there, so we should be good to go and caught up on those now. Moving forward, we're just still working on, making sure our funding's according, looking good going forward. Utilizing that line of credit that ODOT has authorized us, as much as we can there before that ends, so that we can continue to be a little bit more comfortable going forward. Still working with ODOT on our outstanding grant reimbursements for second and third quarter. And then I will go ahead and do those for fourth quarter. Those are due by the end of August. So you'll see those coming up in future board reports. Past that, any questions?
So clarification on, because this page 38 is great, I really like that. On page 20, our balance sheet, and I think this may be where some of us were a little off.
And our balance sheet is still, John and I are working on that. It's got some issues on it. It's some previous AccuFund issues.
That's what I'm assuming, like the payroll account, we're in the whole $35,000?
No, but it also shows our ODOT loan bank account shows in the whole $375,000. So there's something in there, and I had them walk me through setting up that bank account in AccuFund. So there's something that's not right in that. And then there's still some issues that John and I are working through with the auditor back to beginning balances when AccuFund was implemented. And then getting, through our audits and getting those numbers, a final number, we'll say, in order to get that to a more accurate place.
So I like the page 38 because that helps a lot. That gives us what's really in our bank accounts,
Yes.
not showing that we're in the hole.
Right, and that was, and I'll give those as of, the last day of that month, as what I show is in our bank account. Cause I can, as you know, you can pull up your bank account and it'll say you have money in there, but if you have outstanding checks,
Right.
it's not gonna show. So I want you guys to see what I'm seeing.
Okay, and then on the credit cards, there was
Page, please.
several pages, but I'll give you an example of one. 32, well, let's do page 30. So you have little green check marks by most of the things there, but there's quite a few without little green check marks. Does that mean those were not paid from page 30?
Those wouldn't have fallen in that statement.
Okay.
And it's gonna show, so these ones look a little bit different because it's gonna show the stuff that's in there. Normally, it's a snapshot of just that statement, but because we had like 3 statements that were done, it shows the stuff that's in there for the future statement as well.
Okay.
So those ones will hit in the next statement.
Okay, and then on page, just one more for me, on page 28, it's a reconciliation of a credit card. So the cash balance from general ledger says a minus 190,000. Are those numbers anything in like general ledger reconciliation statement minus 189, 740? Are those, what are those numbers?
It's just
What page
28.
again?
28.
Oh, I think it's 38.
Oh, no, 28. I like 38.
those are just like the running total
What we had charged throughout the year.
throughout the years.
Why does it have a minus?
Cause it's a debit going out.
That's okay.
Okay, that's all I had. Pamela?
Okay, and I may not be presenting this correctly, but your expenses, I'm just gonna round this off, $3,800,000. And you, I'm just doing, okay, it would be on
Not a
19, I guess, you see. And then your revenue is 3,500,000 something. So you're in the hole, $304,000. So then with the dashboard, you have, oops, which I lost already, 2,000 something expenses. So anyway, I'm not quite sure where we're standing financially. So if you have $304,000 over budget, I don't want to say over budget, more expenses than revenue, then your payroll is 2 million something or other. How is this whole fit? I feel like it's a little bit in the hole.
We were a little bit in the hole, which is what the year-to-date actual is saying. Because our expenses keep coming in and our revenue that we had planned for, we don't have all of.
Right.
So a lot of our stuff is reimbursements. So we're missing $486,000 in reimbursements. So we just have kind of floated, and then we have our loan money that came in. So that money shows in our snapshot.
Okay, and we had also talked about with the LGIP to break it down, because if I understand correctly, that no grant money could go into the LGIP.
Right, it's just property taxes and timber revenue.
So this is something the board doesn't know, and perhaps may have caused some possible problems in the past. So is there any possibility to break it down into, or to show where the grant money has been deposited?
Go ahead.
Kelly kind of glossed over something that she's developed here that's intended to be a huge tool for the board, and that's this dashboard. And this is just her first attempt at giving you some figures in a more meaningful way. But if you'll remember, we talked about a dashboard at the last board meeting. And the purpose of the dashboard is to gather in one place those indicators or data points that the board finds important to them. And so whatever you're wanting to see, if you're wanting to see the local government account broken down, it can go on the dashboard.
Okay.
All that we would ask is that you have some consensus among the board of the items that you want on this dashboard. And Kelly can add them to the dashboard. So if you want to see the breakdown of the government account, we can add that. If you want to see the checking account from yesterday rather than the end of last month before a board meeting, we can put that on there.
Okay.
Whatever you need so that you can feel comfortable, not only that the district is where it should be, but that you understand what's going to be financed. That's the purpose of this page. And I think it will make an entire difference this year, because you'll be able to tell us and to tell Kelly what you want to see, what's important to you, and have those things explained and have them in the same place every month so you can track them yourself. I think this is more valuable than maybe we let on at the beginning.
I'm sorry,
you
the
wanting
last
to-
part was more valuable than what?
Then when we first presented this earlier today.
Definitely.
I think it's a great tool for you.
And the last question is, there's an item on the balance sheet called, I think, accrued labor system. What does that mean?
That has to do with our payroll. Hold on, I just have to find it. That would have been the payroll for the month of May.
Item 2100.
This is on page 20.
2100, yeah.
And maybe this is my ignorance or whatever word you want to use, is that payroll is one bucket of expenses, and then the rest are expenditures. And it doesn't seem crystal clear to me when you put liabilities and net assets in one column, so to speak. Is there any way to put liabilities in one spot and the net assets? And I understand like accrued payment. So you don't get a clear, I don't get a clear portrait of what is being spent on labor. And it seems like the labor costs are kind of scattered all over with medical costs and that. So when you're planning a budget, to me, it doesn't seem like you have a true portrait of how much you're spending on wages, taxes, and benefits.
That's the top part of our budget.
But it's scattered all over the place. That's, so is that the total amount?
This is just wages. The accrued labor is just the wages.
Not the taxes and the benefits?
That's part of,
The wages.
that falls into a different piece of that.
That's like 2110 and 2111. The 285.
Where you,
That's not all of them though.
And then there's the SUTA and the state withholding and the federal withholding and the Medicare.
so I guess,
All of that has to do with wages.
And I think that goes back to the balance. Yeah. At this moment, our balance sheet has issues like we've talked about. John and I are working to get it in a more current stage so that going forward, it'll have actual numbers to start with that will make sense and that will be accurate.
okay, thank you. Oh, yes, one other thing. So the accounts. Okay, yes. Still on the balance sheet, 1210, the accounts receivable, well, you can see the figure there. I'm just doing the first three, 486,000 something. But on page 23, it says 4,906,000 something. Page 23, on the AG for accounts receivable.
So something isn't following through to the balance sheet.
So that's like 10,000 off,
If the balance sheet isn't correct, that either is that number,
yeah,
probably.
okay. Thank
And
you.
Pamela, back to your question on the LGIP fund, are you wanting to know the deposit, like, do you want me to list the deposits that go into that account each month? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, there's been, people are going to be looking into what went into the LGIP, from what I understand in the audit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're looking
Okay, let me
into
put it
in the audit.
another way. That the grant money should not go in the LGIP.
No, it doesn't go into the LGIP, it goes into the general fund.
I know that, but how do we know that? That's,
If you want me to list the deposits that go in there and the source of the deposits each month, I'm happy to do that.
because don't you have to do that for the grants? So that wouldn't be extra work?
The grants don't have anything to do with our local funds as far as what we get for funding.
But I thought you had to show where the money went with the grants. The report.
I have to show, when I do my grant reporting, I have to show what I spent the money on
Mhm.
and where that funding was. So like if it was, but that's a different type of, that's a quarterly report, it's a different type of report.
So I don't wanna create a lot of work, I just want to avoid problems.
I get that. If you want to know what the deposits are that go into the LGIP account, it's super easy. I can just drop down below that and just add what those deposits are. It's not an account that we get very many deposits in. October, November, December, we get more because it's tax time. But on a regular basis, we don't get a lot of deposits into that account.
No, we wait.
That's it. And I lied, just one more question. On the balance sheet, money market is in parentheses for 5,600 and something.
Because the balance sheet is wrong.
Okay, because that shows we lost money.
that account actually is closed.
Okay,
Rebecca?
Okay.
thank you.
You know, we've said that we are all on a learning curve here, and we are anticipating, doing, some additional training on budget. And, you know, I'm looking forward to that because, you know, we have a lot of business here during our board meetings, but we need to supplement that in this area. So I'm looking forward to, you know, I really appreciate what Kelly has done for us so far. And I think that all these questions that are bubbling up are really valid, and that's where we work on, that's where the work starts for our supplemental training. And, you know, because we're still, you know, in this very fluid period with the loans and getting back on board. And also with, when we move over to another, software. So, I think there's still a lot we're learning, but it's sort of a moving target too. So, as much as we can get these questions answered is good, but I really think we need a little more substantive, a work session of some kind. And I think we're, SDAO, have we already made,
Not yet, but
overtures to get, I'd like to see that we get something scheduled as soon as we can in order to have a work session for this.
I want to talk to Paul about that a little bit, so.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Sharon.
I'm
What's
sorry.
the frustration? I mean, I agree with Rebecca, definitely to have training, but when the numbers are wrong and then you're being trained, you know, it'd be nice to be trained when the numbers
Are
are
correct.
correct.
And John and I are gonna work with the auditor to make sure that we can get it figured out that and get our correct numbers and make the corrections that need to be made so that going forward, it all makes sense and is accurate.
Thank you.
Charles?
I also want to do training, but I think we need to not do training today or tomorrow, because there's still a moving target. So I'd rather do the training once we settle in on what indices we want to see, but I don't want to do training now, that didn't train a month from now. So I'd rather I'd rather wait till we get a non-moving target to do the training, so, that's it.
I agree with your point, and I think that it's something that if we can remember the little speed bumps along the way so that we can take those with us to the training.
Right.
Thank you.
Deanna?
Thank you. So on page 16 of our board meeting packet, so these are the financials for May, so if they would have ended on May 31st. So by then, we had already received the first ODOT loan,
Yes.
but I don't see it reflected under revenue. So where would that appear?
I didn't add it, I can add it.
It really needs to be added, because that's most of the money that we've been using to pay for labor and wages and all that stuff, so yeah, I was confused by not seeing that there. Then also on that same page under revenue, the second item, Lower Columbia Connector. It says revenues for the month were $3,197. But the Lower Columbia Connector, wasn't that the one, the route that went to Portland? We didn't go to Portland in May. Because we shut down services on April. So where is
I'm
that?
wondering if that
coming
is, that $3,197 is it's Amtrak funds that came in, that were from April, that came in May.
So they are for that route, but they're, like, we've been reimbursed?
We get a percentage from Amtrak, and that's our percentage from Amtrak, and that's from April.
Thank you. From April. All right, then on page 18, this is under expenses. So then item 8170, which is for fuel, it says that our month-to-date actual is $3,606.17. But then when we go to page 27, right at the bottom, item 22531, this is dated May 24th. For Wilkins and Flagel, it says $15,000.
That was, if you look, it says 3 of 23, so that's March's bill that was paid in May. It's part of the March bill. So that
Thank
that
you.
report just gives you the checks that were printed in the month of May that are greater than $5,000. So it's not necessarily a bill from the month of May.
So then on page 18, this is a payment for like a previous
On page
month, or-
18, that is the invoice that we received for fuel for the month of May.
Then on page 26, no, 27. Yeah, that was the fuel question, thank you. Then if we go to page 28, so this is the reconciliation of the credit cards. Thank you for explaining that, why we have multiple months this time. I just had a question, why are they called checks if they're a credit card payment? Do we actually make checks individually to
It just, when the transaction is put into the system, it gives it like a reference number, and that falls under check on the credit card
Oh,
statement.
so all of these numbers are not actual checks?
No, we write one check for the total amount,
That's what I thought. So these are just reference numbers?
just reference numbers.
Okay. On page 30, I saw later on the staff reports that you're trying to find like places where we can cut our costs or that we can cancel subscriptions. But I was just wondering, here on page 30 and 31, there's 3 different payments to Adobe Acrobat. There's one for Fletcher, one for Parker, one for Geisler. And many of these are recurring every month. Do we have different Adobe products and they're for different things, or?
We do, I actually, last week received an email from Adobe, wanting to put it all together in one account. And then there's discounts that are available in that and some other
Cool.
things that are available, so that is something that's in the works.
So these are for different programs, not for different computers or things like that, because that's what I was wondering.
I don't know exactly how they were set up originally, but they're for different users, and I believe that in Adobe, we can have one account with users having access. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be great, because, yeah, they differed in payments, so I'm like, why are they different? Thank you. Then on, what is this? That was my question for the credit cards. Then on page 33, this is another reconciliation for credit card. And this is just for the sake of transparency. There are some payments from the month of February 10th to Sun River Resort. And people can see that there are different names from staff and also board members. And it's a hefty amount. And I just want to clarify that this was for the annual SDAO, which is Special Districts Association of Oregon Conference. And the board members, we actually asked if we had the money to go in person, and we were told yes. That's the only reason why those of us who decided to go went, and we were paid for our, our stay, our hotel stay. If we had known that that our financials were so low, all of us would have agreed to attend the meeting virtually. which is offered on Zoom. So I just wanted to put that out there, that it's not us getting payments or getting perks. We were told that this was budgeted, and that's why those expenses are there. Then on page 38, I really appreciate having this in a more practical, easy to read format so that we can understand what we have to look into. So thank you for that. But then towards the bottom, under outstanding ODOT grants. So then item 3, transportation options. Excuse me. Transportation options, bike grant, innovative mobility grant. I believe there should be $300 more in there for innovative mobility grants. So if we see on pages 21 and 22, that's where this expenses
And I may
are
have
listed.
misadded those.
Yeah, there's just one, that's from, there's two
Two for
Two
300,
payments,
right?
yeah, 2 for 300,
Yeah,
one
for 2
from
quarters.
March and the other from June, I believe. Yeah. So I just wanted to,
What would the correct amount be?
so the correct amount would be, I wrote it down somewhere.
That's okay.
It would be 300 more, so it would be $21,052.48, which would bring the total outstanding ODOT grants to $487,122.48.
Okay.
That's it for me, thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. So I had on our page 38, which I do really like, is it possible, and I'm not starting with our new year, to put what grants we receive, which individual grants we receive, and what is paid out of that grant for that month?
What the AP is for that grant for that month.
Would that be real hard to do?
It's actually something that I'm working on. John gave me a spreadsheet that my intention is to do it on a monthly basis. So basically it'll show my expenses and then it'll have like my income buckets, my sources, on a monthly basis so that I can track, and then it'll roll into a quarterly and it'll roll into an annual, because I'll need that information to submit to ODOT. So yes, I am working on it, it's just not pretty yet.
Because I think part of what we missed over this last year or more is that we had these grants coming in that are specified for certain things. And all these things that were supposed to be paid for out of these grants never got done this year. That money was spent elsewhere. The shelters is what I'm kind of thinking about. So if we could see each one of the grants and what we've got or what has been paid to us and what we have spent out of the grant, I think that would also help.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, it's in the works, it's just not pretty yet. Of course, this isn't pretty yet either, so.
No, I really like page 38, thank you. If there's nothing else, can we enter the financials into the minutes?
Okay.
And now we are to number 9.
No, you don't.
Ah, that's right.
We are to number 9, which is our budget hearing and budget adopting. This is the time and place set for public hearing for our fiscal year 23, 24, budget for SETD. Before you are the budgets that were approved by the Budget Committee on June 16th. After holding the public hearing, the board may make changes to budgets. However, if the board wants to increase expenditures in any fund by 10% or more, or $5,000, whichever is greater, we must republish the amended budget summary and hold another budget hearing. This would not be possible since the budget must be adopted prior to July 1st. I am now opening public hearing for our proposed budget for fiscal year 23-24. Is there anybody from the public on Zoom?
No.
Is there any public comments from us in the room? No? I'm going to close public comments. And do we need a motion before we talk, before we discuss? Okay, go ahead, Deanna.
Discussion or motion?
Discussion.
Discussion. When you were just reading what we have, you said that this is the budget that was approved by the budget committee on June 16th.
Was after that.
So I just wanna, when did we actually do this? Because then before we do the motion, probably we need to have the date, right?
I think we
Yeah, when was the
had
last
an
one?
additional, so it was the 20th, as
Was
written.
it
Oh,
16th?
it is, that's,
No,
no,
the
20th. You're right, yes, yes.
Okay, so yeah, just wanted to
Sorry.
make sure that it was, it is written correctly.
So
June
it was on June 20th when we,
This, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
that's all right.
you wrote it correctly, man.
okay. Pamela?
In terms of the
Yes, okay.
wages and what we have before us with the executive director's salary, was that included in the wages?
Yes.
There was a line item for that. That was in the budget.
For an amount that we haven't approved?
Well, it was-
We're going to have a supplemental budget
Yeah,
anyway, so we'll probably have to change payroll.
we put a number
that-
ballpark number, right?
We put a ballpark number in of $100,000,
$100,000, yes.
and it may be more, maybe less.
We don't know till what person we'll be able to take on that.
Okay,
Wait.
Paul? You want to do your overview?
Yeah, I keep my comments brief here. We've all been through this a number of times already on this budget, and I would say that I feel very comfortable with the budget, the way that it's stated. I again am grateful for the committee for making such a genuine, in-depth effort to understand and create a budget that's meaningful, reasonable, and sustainable. As was just said here, and as I had mentioned in previous meetings, it may become necessary in the first quarter or the second quarter to talk about a supplemental budget, just because there are so many unknowns right now. But the budget, the way it's stated with the information that we have today, I believe is solid and reliable. Items like fuel are very uncertain. We've just talked about some of the things that might happen in wages and salaries. Although adding any additional services at this point is unlikely, depending upon how our year goes, that may be something that happens down the road, which would require us probably to submit to develop a supplemental budget. Beyond that, I just thank everybody who was involved in getting to this point on this budget.
Janet?
Thank you. I did have another comment. So on page 41, which is the second page of the board resolution for our budget. So right at the top, it says, be it resolved that the executive director will hereby certify to the class accounting assessor. Should it be that the interim executive director will hereby certify? Since this is gonna be adopted in July 15th, and we won't have an executive director that always will be with us. That's it.
Mary, is that read before we do the resolution or the motion? So is the resolution read before we do that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sunset Empire Transportation District hereby adopts the budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 in the sum of $3,251,808 is now on file at the administrative offices of the Sunset Empire Transportation District at 900 Marine Drive, Astoria, Oregon. Be it resolved that the amounts for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024, and for the purposes shown below are hereby appropriated as follows. All funds, personal services, $1,817,720. Material and services, $709,000. Debt services, $310,000. Contingency, $415,088 for a total $3,251,808. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sunset Empire Transportation District hereby imposes the taxes provided for in the adopted budget at the rate of 0.162 per $1,000 of assessed value, and that these taxes are hereby imposed and categorized as follows for the tax year 2023-2024 upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district.
A motion to approve based on the resolution you read, or you need one, or it's resolution of promotion.
Just read that.
Don't you have to read this one part on page 141?
No.
Go ahead.
No?
You can just read this one.
Okay.
Look at your friend.
You can read this one, Charles. I move that the
Oh, okay.
go here.
Oh, I read it. Oh, the whole thing?
Just this one.
Oh, I read it. Just read it, thank you.
Do you wanna, no, you have to read it out loud if you
Oh, I
wanna
have to
make the
read
motion.
it. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you have
I read it to myself.
No.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Self.
I'm helping you out.
What did you hear, self? I move that the SCTD Board of Commissioners approve resolution 2023-1 adopting the 2023-2024 budget and making appropriations to impose the tax levy for the local government.
Second.
I read it
Charles
twice.
makes a motion.
One time I read it. And oh, that's
And
interesting.
seconded. Is there any other discussion? Mary, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Boostman,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes,
Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Allegria,
Yes.
Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And could someone eat those sweets, please?
What did you say?
What did
I
you say?
said to eat the sweets.
Oh,
Mary.
working on it.
I think that's incorporated in
All right.
no, but you can see the exact amount of the. You have to do one more, Charles. It shows the exact amount
Better keep reading.
of the tax.
Out loud. Okay.
Yes, it's in the last paragraph.
I move that the Board of Commissioners of Sunset Empire Transit District approve and recommend that the Sunset Empire Transit Board of Commissioners adopt property taxes for the 2023-2024 fiscal year at a rate of 16.2 cents per thousand of assessed value for a permanent tax levy. I messed it up.
Second.
Okay, a second. All right, slow here.
Plus, I've been reading to myself again. Sure.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the assessed value of property. Any discussion on that? Hi, Mary, will
I'll
you?
second.
Too late, Tracy.
Okay, Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald,
You muted him.
Yes,
Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Allegria, Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes,
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, continued business number 10A, recruitment update. Mary, it has your name on it.
Mary, okay.
Oh, I will. Do you want me to report?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Not Mary,
we're
so-
working with George
It's okay.
Dunkel, for the,
But
completion of the executive director's job description. Anyway, so you all have it in your packet for approval. So I have had it vetted through them, through Paul, Debbie, and Monica at SVAO, the Human Resources Alliance, person she helped me as well. So that's all done. And then the benefits committee, Debbie, Deanna, and Tracy met yesterday on Zoom, and we fleshed out a benefits package, which you guys have available there. We had comparables from, I believe, around 5 other districts approximately our size. So that is what we've come up with, what is in your packet. And so then, let me see, what are
Sue, can you remind us who's on that committee?
Deanna and Tracy and Debbie
Thank you.
and me. So that's where we are right now. I don't know, is George on there today? He said he was gonna be on here. So what we're doing now is, we're gonna approve the final job description and benefit package, and selection process and timeline. So I don't see George on there, do you? Okay. Selection process,
Let's go over the job description, let's do that. Let's do the benefits package, and then we'll go on to the timeline and see where we're at on that.
Okay.
So let's have a motion to accept the job description, then we can discuss that.
I move to accept the job description as provided
The
For
second,
executive director.
for executive director.
and the second,
I'll second.
thank you, Dan.
Discussion,
Okay, discussion on the job description.
yeah, job description. This is great work, by the way. I guess my question was, once it's available to go out into the ethos, it'll be available as a PDF file on our website. At Wilson, how do we get this job description out to the public?
that's part of the process, Charles.
Is it gonna be attached to all platforms?
Yeah, you'll have the job posting and the job description and the benefits package. Well, the benefits, it'll all be lined out. The benefits will be as part of the package and within the process,
Right.
once you get it posted.
I guess I was wondering, do you wanna jump out there with these numbers on
Well,
the initial
You know,
posting
I
of the
think
job?
that the salary range is always out there.
I would go
And
for
just a generous benefits package, which it
Okay,
is.
good.
And that's generally, then when you get down to your final candidate, then you kind of flesh out and I'm sure there'll be talk, I mean, as people apply, well, what are those generous benefits? And so you want to make them available to your candidates.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just wonder how much of this we attach to the RFQ, so to speak.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Normally both are,
okay,
But not the details of the package itself, just the salary.
just the salary usually, yeah.
And generous benefits. Okay, thank you.
or you can also put like 100% paid employee benefit, yeah, that type of thing. The things that you are really sure about, but then when you get your finalist, they may want to negotiate some of that as
Yeah,
well, so.
That's what I was getting at, actually. You know, a lot of someone said, well, I'm not working for them, I'm gonna pay $57 on my life insurance. But that's what I was getting at. Thank you.
Pamela?
So we're discussing this.
Just the job description right now.
Okay, so on the first paragraph, this is more than grammar, it's the second line. So you just say ensuring rather than assuring, which has a different meaning. And you add ensure in the rest of the paragraph. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. In the second paragraph, okay, the second line, could it read, you have the protect health, safety of the public and STD employees? Do you add?
Where are you reading from?
Second line, second
Right
paragraph.
here?
Yeah. So just to add and STD
Should we include
employees.
health and safety also for the employees?
Public and employees?
Yeah, I mean, is this agreeable? I'm just suggesting here.
I like it.
Okay, and then
Oh, I got it, yeah.
under essential functions. Okay. The first word is plural, with the S, parallel structure, blah, blah. Okay, and then just to make it easier when you're looking at this as an applicant, the second line of the first of number 1 should be another number item, evaluate, and then oversee. So in other words, they're two different,
Evaluate, comma, oversee, and
no,
define.
evaluate to separate number. See, like you have numbers here,
Yes, oh, have that be a separate number?
Separate item.
Yeah.
So you want that number 2, Pamela?
number 2, and then you go to number,
Move all the rest down, number
And
one.
then
Then
number
oversee.
3.
right, you have to change all the numbers. Okay, and this, okay, do have to get a little grammar in here. Everything in number 1 should be with, all the verbs should end in S.
Mhm.
And then, okay, and number 3, to add goals. You have the development of strategic plans
And goals.
that address financial and service levels, but the strategic plan, unless that's a different plan, also address the goals of the district.
So you have assist the Board of Commissioners in the development of strategic plans and goals that address the financial and service levels of the district.
Well, the strategic plans address the goals that we do,
So what did you want changed to that sentence?
just add
Add.
the development strategic plans that address the financial service levels of the service levels and the goals of the district. But actually, they're two separate plans. And that's not clear. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We do a strategic plan of, the board does, what we want to accomplish for the district. Or maybe there's two separate plans, because we usually don't do financial except if you mean the budget.
So maybe the financial goals and service levels of the
Because I don't
district?
think, we don't do the service approval of services, right? The board doesn't approve services. Right? Or,
Frankly, I think the sentence is fine the way it is. I
Yeah.
think financial and service levels are the goals.
I was gonna say, here's the thing, if, I don't wanna wait a month to get these changes added in and hold you guys back and doing the search. These things we can still go ahead and approve this with the, and add her, I don't wanna have to wait till July to come back and approve this.
This has also gone through George at SDOA, so he's,
so why are you asking us this?
well, we have to approve it.
Let's try
So why are you asking us to discuss it?
well, that's just part of the process we go through.
Discussion is part of the Robert's rules. That's all. It's just, I get your impressions and making corrections. I just hope that the corrections she's making, that we can be added, you guys can go on and start doing the search. I don't want to have to wait until July to come back and approve the final description, and then we've missed a month of search. That's what I'm thinking. I don't wanna miss a month in the search.
May I inject something here? This has been vetted by myself, by Sue, and by special districts. And we've in effect contracted with special districts to handle this process for us. George was gonna be here today, he's not with us. If we make changes to this, we're gonna be in a position to have to run those by George, and he may have some reason that it's written exactly the way it is. I think materially, this job description is sound and complete. If we're to make changes, as Charles says, we may be putting ourselves into another waiting period. If I'm not mistaken, jumping ahead here, I think that the timeline shows that this will go out on July 1st, or the first business day in July is when the solicitation opens for this position. So, you know, I'm saying that unless it's a material change that's going to have significant impact on the description of the job, I think we should go with what SDAO has used in all of their procurements and all of their recruitments. I mean, they recruit for more than just us, so they're kind of in the business of it. And I would recommend that we go with what they've got here.
Well, then,
If there's anything major, yes, I think we should,
okay, I don't have any more questions, but it's open up to discussion or it's not.
Well, I mean,
Okay, I don't have.
maybe I invited that, but
Rebecca?
Yeah, I read through this. You know, I served on the executive director evaluation committee. And I know that, you know, you can really go into great detail about every different aspect of the director's duties and what we want that person to do. But this is a very thorough outline of really what those duties are. And we will still have an opportunity to work with the executive director and, you know, discuss the work that he or she does and be able to add input to this. So I agree that, you know, we really are on a timeline. We've, you know, since this has been covered by George, I would like us to move forward with it.
let me call the question. Thank you.
Okay. Charles has called the question. Mary, you want to take the roll call vote?
Commissioner Blue Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald. Please. Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Alegria,
Yes.
Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
motion passes.
We'll move on to the executive director benefit package. Like Sue said, the committee met yesterday and comparing what other directors are making that are sort of kind of in our line, there's not a lot of them, with the idea that at this point, we only have 15 employees, 16 employees compared to the 46 that we did have. And trying to bring somebody on board that has experience, this is kind of what we came up with. Starting salary somewhere between 94 and 98,500. 100% of the employee health insurance. The family and spouse would be negotiable
Can you read all the items? Because people don't have this in their packet.
Thank you, Debbie, sorry.
I'm sorry, here, there's an extra. Okay, so salary between 94,000 and 98,500. Employee health insurance, we would pay at 100%, and right now it's $14,172. These are yearly. The family and spouse health insurance could be negotiable, whether we would pay that or not. Retirement benefit, we would offer $800,000 into a 401k. Life insurance policy at $100,000 a year, or $100,000 yearly would be $595. $20,000 life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment. We would pay that for $57 a year. Short-term disability at $168 a year. Long-term disability at $279 per year, which would bring the total benefit package to $118,871 up to $123,371. That's where we kind of come up with that we would start. This is all negotiable upon making an offer to somebody. And the salary range would be depending on experience. And I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept the benefits package as provided for the executive director position.
Second,
Second that.
discussion? No discussion? Is everybody okay?
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald? I'm sorry. Commissioner Dino,
Yes.
Commissioner Legria?
Yes.
Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you.
So with that done, are we ready for George to?
Well, this is the, we have a timeline here, and so the open recruitment period would begin on July 1st. The recruitment period will close on July 31st. And then we will have an initial evaluation of the candidate resumes completed by SDAO and delivered to the board members by August 9th. And a special board meeting on August 10th if needed to finalize semifinalist candidate selections. Semifinalists notified on August 11th, September 24th, possible public meet and greet. September 25th, board and panel interviews, special board of directors meeting. September 28th, regular board meeting selection announcement or additional evaluation process. October 23, contract negotiations with finalists, medical evaluation completed, you need one, and background check completed, final reference checks completed. October 26th, regular board meeting and agreement with new CEO finalized, approved by board. And then he has a December 1st start date for the new executive director. That seems a little out there to me, but you know, if we can speed things up, then I think that would be a good thing for Paul.
We like Paul though. I appreciate it being realistic though.
Huh?
I appreciate the timeline being realistic, because these processes can take a long time.
And that's true, yeah, thank you.
Okay,
So that's good.
okay. Anything else on recruitment? Okay,
And can we include the benefits package information on our minutes?
yes, we did, and sorry, we didn't get those out because we didn't meet till yesterday, so.
Can we have a copy of the schedule?
No,
The schedule.
Schedule.
I'll make a
Timeline.
copy of the timeline.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It was
we,
just read.
I think we got those a couple of meetings ago, but we will get more copies.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Yes, Charles?
The application pool would include internal, what folks internally be considered. And does SDAO know this, or they just,
We discussed that with George at the meeting that George was here at, and we decided to go nationwide, and yes, anybody within,
local, so to speak?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
anybody that puts in an application would be, so if you apply, yes, we look at it.
I've been there, done all that, so I don't know, no.
Okay, we are now to 10B loan update.
We, of course, in May received the $505,000 first part of the loan with ODOT. We requested made a request to ODOT for, ODOT approved a second loan, which actually was an amendment to the first loan, to add another $505,000 to the funds available to us, to be accessed through a draw mechanism as we needed those funds. I made a request to ODOT for $420,000 of the $500,000. And ODOT responded by recommending that we accept $225,000 going forward, with justification that they were concerned about the debt for the district going forward. And in their analysis, they felt that the money that they have promised forthcoming in reimbursements and other grants would see us through. We received the $225,000. We put that into the loan account. We have made transfers from the loan account into the general account to pay accounts payable. But I'm still in negotiations with ODOT on the balance of what I had originally requested. There's $1 million available in the loan. I don't think that we need the full $1 million. I would like to get the balance of my most recent request to get us up to $420,000, because I want us to be certain that we can get through the time between September and November when we get our property taxes. To be very honest with you, there is a 1% fee for any draw that we take, and the cost of the loan is 3% to us annually. And I view those costs as insurance against us having a cash shortage again as we wait for property taxes. Having not been through this process at this level before, I want to be extremely cautious, and I don't want for there to be another trip up. So I'm going to continue to try and get that additional $200,000. And we'll see how that plays out. At this point, I think our dashboard shows that we're doing well. We have funds in the bank to get us through most of July at this point. We expect STIF funding at some point in July to pick up covering our expenses then. Again, it would be nice to have the additional loan money in the bank just in case. There are processes by which we can repay that early if we don't use it. But the end of the project is July 31st. We cannot take a draw after July 31st, even if we haven't accessed all the funds that are available to us. So it kind of sets up the scenario that I'm looking at.
Any questions?
Paul? Although they did not necessarily refuse the additional fund, a couple $100,000, you feel that there's a possibility that you go back to them, that they may add it soon, or by the July deadline?
Yeah, well, I'm going to make a request within the next week or two and present my case perhaps more succinctly. But it would be a shame to leave it on the table, have the deadline pass, and then end up with a problem. So I will make that clear in the request.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Mhm.
Okay. On our agenda 10C, Paul's original contract expires at midnight on June 31st. So I would really like us to extend that. I've talked with Paul, and he's willing to extend out to October 31st with the same agreement if we actually get a new director on board before then, he could be released a little bit early. Or we could agree to extend it if it's a little bit longer than that. He did ask for a little bit more money at $62 an hour, but he's also asked for Fridays off, so we'd be working about 32 hours a week, which is still less than what we were paying Jeff. He would be available if something came up on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays to work things out if need be. So basically, it's the same contract, a little bit more money and extending the expiration date. So I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the updated contract between SUTD and Paul Luigi.
In a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Pamela?
This may be remembering wrong, but remember you corrected the contract, and I thought number 5 judicial was gone. I may be wrong.
No, what we corrected was the 15-day, 30-day.
Okay.
Number 11. Upon a 15-day calendar written notice by either party to intent to end. Upon 15, calendar day written notice by either party to the other with intent to terminate. I think that's what we.
Faulty memory.
Deanna?
On page 56 of our board meeting packet, which is page 1 of the professional services agreement. So on the second paragraph, it says, now therefore, in consideration of this agreement, contractor, which is Paul, agrees to perform between May 5th, 2023 and October 31st. So I know that we're kind of extending the original agreement, but wouldn't we need to do one with the date starting today instead of May? Because the money is different.
July 1st.
So we had the original that ends on June 30, and then we would have one from July 1st to October 31st.
Right, you're right about that, so we can have this changed before I sign up, before.
Thank you, that's it.
Do we need it signed of, you can just sign on the board
we can-
authority, we don't have, it's not.
I'm sure we can get it changed within a few minutes, and I'm around all day tomorrow to sign it, so we can get it signed before the end of the month. Pamela?
Just on the record, I am very concerned actually of the speed of getting an executive director. I understand the timelines, but you want to have a wide circle time for people to read it, to fill out an application. I think this is an unrealistic deadline for such an important position. That's what I'm saying.
So you're talking about the timeline for the recruitment?
Wrong,
38.
yeah, wrong item number, but
Okay. So that goes back to the SDL, the recruitment.
We're not talking about this contract.
no, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're talking about the other one. It's too short a time till December.
I don't.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, hopefully not, but if it takes us longer, it takes us longer. Charles?
Also, I think you just said it, I think we have to put some date on it, and I think that we could hire someone in 2 weeks, right? So I think we have to put some date on it, and we can't keep Paul on the string indefinitely either, so as someone being retired, if I had to go back to work again, and then someone told me, we didn't know when you could stop or you go back on retirement, I would be like, well, wait a minute. So, but we could hire someone like quick, actually, so let's hope for that.
I think that the good thing is that because SDAO is taking care of the process and we agreed on just a flat fee for them, and then, yeah, it'll take as long as it takes. And it is up to us to decide who we want to hire, so I don't think we're gonna rush it.
No.
Just because we have to be on a deadline. But it's good to have a structure of at least moving it forward.
All right, let's get back to this then. Can we get an amended motion
Okay,
to authorize
the date.
well, to change the date and authorize the chair to sign the contract?
Okay, amend the original motion to approve the updated contract between SATD and Paul Lewicki, and to the amendment, which is to change May 5th, 2023 to July 1, 2023, and that the chair may sign. Thank you, the document.
In a second to that amendment?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, is there any other discussion? All right, Mary? Okay, when you have a second there, I know you're catching up.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Tracy's back.
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes,
Commissioner
Yes.
Commissioner Legria. Yes. Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to say, I think Paul's doing a really good job. He was put into kind of a mess. Thank you so much.
Still here.
Thank you.
Okay, and I don't see any new business, number 11, Charles?
In lieu of Paul not being here, the line of order on Friday would be, who would be in charge on Friday? So if you're not here.
It's gonna be Jennifer.
There we go.
Sorry.
She had a job.
She's trying to hide back there. I can see.
So it's Jennifer, oh, okay,
Jennifer,
I wouldn't quit, okay. Just wanted to
And,
know that,
and then if it's something Jennifer needed Paul's help, I think Jennifer has his phone number.
thank you.
So, no new business. How about any correspondence? Number 12.
Yes. I don't have.
No, if there was any, which I may have overlooked, I'll make sure that it's in the next meeting.
Okay. Down to number 13, the interim executive director's report.
Okay. It's been interesting this last 5 or 6 weeks. We've had way more than our share of meetings. They take a disproportionate amount of time to prepare for. And the whole staff is involved, and Mary especially puts an awful lot of time into the prep work. But we're getting by day. Our finances are looking better. Our service is regular and reliable. We did receive a report back on our compliance review that was done about the first part of May. There are some areas in there that are a bit critical of some of our processes. And so I'm working on breaking that down in such a way that perhaps we can have it on the agenda for next month. I'll see that the report gets out to you early before the packet next month so that you have time to digest it. But I think it's a good report. It's an expose at least, and I think it will be eye-opening to all of us. It brings to mind a comment I wanted to make earlier based on what you had said, Charles, about training and holding off on training until the situation solidifies. And I just wanted to give you the right mindset of what I anticipate this training will be. And it won't be training on SCTD finances.
Yeah.
It will be training on generic finances. You know, what is a balance sheet? What is a P&L statement? What should you look for? What are the indicators? So I can understand that you may be more comfortable waiting until things are less fluid. But I just want you to know that it's going to be training about financial processes and reports, not necessarily just what we do here. In this report from RLS, there's quite a bit of content about board responsibilities. And I think that you'll find it very interesting, liberating, imposing, but it's good stuff. And I think that had we all been aware of this for the years in the past, we probably wouldn't be where we are now. So it is something that's going to be of great help to us. Working on the loan, working with Arla, who's been a great help, and John, who's been a great help, working on the revised STIF plan, and the 5311 and 5310 grants have been submitted.
Did you hit the submit button?
I'm gonna check. You didn't see them?
They don't go directly to me, so
I believe I did, but I'll verify that. So
it
we're,
should send you a copy, and then if you can get me a copy, then I can start working on the state board.
perfect, okay. So that's kind of where I am. The days go by quickly and things come up all the time that we hadn't anticipated having to address, but I'm proud of the staff here. They all are pitching in, doing what needs to be done.
Pamela?
I'd like to say that Paul's report is excellent, and we'd like to see the future executive director as an example. This is the first time I felt like I know what's happening in the district, and it's well written, of course.
Thank you.
It's always appreciated.
Yeah, that's.
Deanna?
What you mentioned at the end of kind of getting the staff involved in developing options for extending service, I really am glad to hear that, so that we're ready. If we do get something wonderful happen and we can do it, that at least it's been considered, run down, even staff that is, on call, ready to come back. So thank you so much for having us ready when we can start getting our service on.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else for Paul, we can go to Charles.
It's not on the report, but frankly, I like seeing, to me, it's like seeing the buses on 101. It's something about seeing the buses, because I think that shows them that we're coming back. And so I just want to thank you for that, because every time I see one, I think, oh man, guess we got buses coming and going. So it looks like to the public that because before there was questions about, we were never gonna be up and running again. It was over for us. So the buses show that we're not there even we're near where we want to be, but we are moving forward and we're coming back. So thanks, Paul. And everybody is, everybody.
And let me say, Charles, I experienced that same emotional lift when I see a bus.
It is, right? It's there for sure. It is there, yes.
Pamela?
Ryder was confused about the route, lower connector versus the point. So I had to explain to him the point's still running to Portland, and he didn't understand that. And he thought it wasn't clear in the historian's article that there's still a bus. I know it's not Sunset, but you want to help all riders regardless of who's the manager.
Okay.
That is a good point, is that we continue to ask the newspaper to provide updates. I don't know how we can how we might be able to negotiate that, but it might be in everybody's best interest, and they might be willing to help us with that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Mary and I had talked about doing frequent press releases during this time to keep the public aware of what was going on. But when it came right down to drafting that, it was a difficult thing to do. You know, you can't say every week, we started up Route 101 and it's still running. You know, we're not adding more service. There's just, it turned out there wasn't information to put in the press release. So your point is well taken. I think when we get questions about the route to Portland, we remind the riders that the point is available. We steer the riders to the web page. And, you know, we don't summarily say the route's done. You know, we try and give information. Still, we can try and find a way to get that message out again. I think it would help.
I mean, Ethan's on now, if he writes a little article about today's meeting, maybe he could add something in about the point bus still going to Portland, and so there still is a way.
Yes, please.
Ethan.
Count on that.
Move on to Jennifer.
Hello, the only thing I wanted to really add to my board report was Friday. I can get through this without getting emotional, but Friday, April 28th was the day we ended service, full service, and that's almost exactly 2 months ago. And a lot has happened in the last 2 months. Feels like we've been driving a fast-moving bus, but yet some days it just feels like there's just so much we've had to come through. Things we haven't had to do. I've asked a lot of hard questions for HR, and just like, what do we do with our employees, the people that are laid off, and bringing people back. We have done so much with the leadership of the Board of Commissioners, the staff that we have come back. Having Paul come back as our interim definitely made that bus move faster than had we had somebody with no experience with SCTD. So I just want to remember that what we have accomplished in the last 2 months, and moving forward with this new year, I think great things are going to happen. Very optimistic, and I just thank you, everybody here, and then all the staff. It's been difficult, but we've seen a lot of good things, and we're very hopeful for that. And yes, we are planning for when we're ready to turn that green light on, to say this is what we can do next, and putting more tires on the road and getting our riders back on buses and making life a little bit more comfortable. Because I understand that what we have provided right now is challenging for them. 3-hour loop, it's not optimal in a busy life with, trying to get to work and family. So we are doing the best we can to make that more feasible and more workable in their day-to-day doings. I just thank you. And I would love to say today, I have been checking every day, been weekly emailing Trillium, our website, our routes, and it is in function today. Our Swiftly app is working for drivers, tablet. Transit app is working so riders can use the app on their phone and know when the next bus is coming. Yes. So it has been a challenge, so I'm just thankful that today I got to announce that here and just show that the positive is moving forward, so.
Sure.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes. Yeah, Jennifer, on our ride assist, early on, we were reaching out to our partners and for help with folks who needed rides. Is that still in place? If we know someone needs a ride and we can't, is there something still in place for that sort of thing?
So as of today, we still have not denied any request for that curb-to-curb paratransit.
You're getting calls? So.
We are actually, right, so they know to call us. We've actually had more and more of our regular ADA paratransit. We've had 7 dial-a-ride, which is the record for a year. So we have a lady out in Napa that rides for medical. We're, with 2 drivers, it's pretty pushed, but we're able to do it. We're actually doing 1 Medicaid ride, so that's at Northwest Rides, that's based out of Tillamook. for the Medicaid brokerage. And they know that they don't wanna overrun us. So they're ready to use us when we have more drivers available. But we have not denied a ride yet. So they were our coverage for dialysis when we were shut down for that week and a half. So
Great. Well,
they
thank
were
you.
covering our dialysis rights, so.
It's a good partnership. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jennifer? Anna?
Regarding the construction on Highway 101 in Seaside, about the bus shelter that's by the McDonald's, is it gonna need to be moved or something? Like, are they working on that actual patch of the sidewalk, or they're working around it?
So they have torn up the sidewalk and the highway right there. The bus cannot access the shelter. The shelter will be fine once the construction's done and the highway's paved and the the sidewalk's rebuilt.
So we'll keep the shelter there?
Yes, we have it temporarily moved, just the stop itself, farther north in front of the middle school, which is now owned by Sunset Park and Rec. And so they were happy to let us hang up a sandwich board and,
I saw it today when I
temporary,
was
so,
drove.
yeah.
That was the new stuff.
Yeah.
Cool, and then if anything, with construction, big machines, if anything was to happen to the shelter, would that be under their insurance or would we have to?
I would assume so, it's an ODOT project. They do have a construction company doing all the work, so, yes.
Thank you.
Trace?
Maybe I should know this, but the bus stop across the street from McDonald's, the southbound stop, did it have to move also, or is it still there?
No, that's not interrupted. Avenue A is
Is-
functional and the bus can
Okay.
access it, so
Thank
that's fine.
Tracy?
I just wanted to add that I've been doing some kind of volunteer berry picking vines at the center, at the cinema to try. I'm amazed, some people kind of just bring their lunch and leave it not in the garbage can. So I've been trying to clean that up just a little bit, so that's an important stop because it's also a point bus stop, so I just wanted to just make it a little easier to live at that stop. So.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Sue?
Yes. This has been a very emotional month for me as well. During the month of May, I was in contact with all of our furloughed employees every week, just to touch base with them and see how they were doing and, letting them know that we still care. I have to say that we had an amazing group of employees at SETV, and it's taken me 3 years to get them. And so on May 30th, it was extremely hard to call all 30 employees and let them know that they no longer have a job because we could no longer support benefits. They went from furlough to layoff. And so I provided them all a letter. I included all the information that they needed regarding COBRA, the portability of any of their employee benefits such as AFLAC and MASA and the Civic Source FSA, and the layoff and recall policies and contact information for their retirement benefits. That was the most I could do because I can't get into their personal business with any of those organizations, where they have benefits. But I just have to say that they were so gracious. We have, like I said, an amazing group of people, and it was so very hard to make those calls, and I missed them all. And then I called to see if anybody wanted to be on a temp list, and most of them do, some have gotten jobs. They will call me off and on to let me know I'm working now and I can only fill in these hours or these days, but they are just so supportive. And I just want to thank all of our employees for being who they are, great employees.
Thank you. Any questions for Sue? Thank you, Sue, for all your hard work. Thank you, Sue. Hey, Jason.
Yeah, thank you everyone for all that you've done to get us to this point. I really appreciate each and every single one of you and all of the actions, work, sacrifices you all have made. It's been totally not unseen. So thank you very much for that. I'm thankful that I can still be a part of this district and help it move forward. I don't get to do my job the same way that I did before. Hopefully one day I could, but I still get an opportunity to speak to some of my past trainees every once in a while. I do get to speak to a new group of clientele though, helping out paratransit and so forth, and all of the other duties that I do, including the technical side of things here. It fills me up with joy to be a part of that and to see the rest of the spokes of the wheel working and doing what they do in order to help us move forward. So if you have any questions, I can answer for you.
Deanna?
Thank you, Jason, for being so flexible and helping us out doing, so many different things. And I was just wondering about the Veterans Enhanced Transportation Program. If we do get it back up, would that be through a grant, like a specific grant for it, or what is keeping us from offering that service to veterans?
Yeah, it would have to go, the same type of funding that we had before, would have to go through the Veterans Administration, and we'd have to start, I believe, I'd have to confirm whether or not we'd have to start from scratch again, but it's technically it's gone, right now, starting in the new year. So, I do speak to it in there. You saw it it's gonna be the last time I'm gonna update anything on the veterans
It's a big
side of
loss.
things. But, the only thing the veterans volunteer drivers have asked me to do is to, if we see or hear or smell anything that's coming along where we could reattach ourselves to it, to do it, to be that advocate, because, they still need the service. And we still have willing drivers, that are willing to go and do those things. They are still helping people on their own. And, so it's a program that doesn't want to go away, but as soon as we can, let's bring it back.
Absolutely, thank you.
If there's nothing else for Jason, we'll move on to Mary.
Well, it's been very busy. And then it got busier, and then it got busier.
Have you had any meetings lately?
I was just gonna start counting them. I thought, I don't think I will. What if I missed one? Which, it's been very challenging to keep everything in order and tracking everything, and then also being accurate with the minutes, because believe me, many times I'm sitting doing minutes and, there's about 10 rows of Ds. Then I know I've been asleep, it's oh. So if I miss things, that might be the time that I don't get it back. But I've just really been enjoying this time as well, and I love working here. I love what we do. I cannot wait till we get more back. I also just love to see the 101 bus. Love it. I'm so proud of the buses that we are running, because at least we're running, and we're still helping people. When I go out and like last night, I take my room and my Windex and my stuff, and when I go to the shelters, I clean them, I sweep them, I take the cobwebs down, pick up the garbage if it's, if I can. Some I don't touch. But that's it. It's like, I need one of those safety first. But it's, they usually go when there's in the afternoon or later in the evening when there's not so many people. So that's always helpful, because sometimes I can't get into the shelter. I don't, can't bother people. But the general feeling of all our riders is they're still very appreciated. I don't hear anything negative. I don't hear them criticizing us, or that's kind of fading, and I'm just so so thankful we have the writers that we do and that they're still supporting us. So, thank you for all your support and understanding that this has been a really, the last couple of months have been very difficult, very, very difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
So before we adjourn, I would like to thank, the staff has been wonderful, the bus drivers that we've been able to bring back. But we've had some outside help from John, which has been really helpful. And Arla has been a big support also. And I know there's others out there that I probably don't know of that's also supporting us. So I'd like to thank anybody that has positive thoughts about us.
Thank you for passing the budget. We're on our way.
And our committees.
Yeah.
And people who are, on the calls and who've been paying attention.
Thank you.
And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Unless everybody wants to stay a little bit longer.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, a second? I'll second. Okay, anything else?
Eat sweets.
I've done my share. Yeah, give it a go.